All right, so this is the all thread patch. It is a snowman. She's got a nice satin edge around it, and this is going to be embroidered on some plastic. Wanted to show you how this kind of sews out really quick in this software. And we're going to go to another one, and I'm going to show you these layers of underlay that we're seeing stitch out here. There's your fill, there's another fill. So you've essentially now created your fabric. So think about embroidering and twill at this point. Your designs are digitized just like you would with any other patch or on a twill. And the last thing is that nice white satin stitch. And that is always stitched last. And the reason why is you want to do all your embroidery on this plastic film, the 2 layers for the all thread patch, and you don't want to pre-perforating out. So let's go over to the one where I can show you the digitizing quite well. Let's see this guy. So this one is, again, the 3 layers. I've done some really bright colors so that you can see the different layers. And there they go. There's the green, the orange, the blue, and there's your white fill. And before you want to run your satin stitch, you want to get all your design elements in there as well. And that's the last part. So I'm going to go in a little deeper here, close up, so you can start seeing a little more closely. And here you have your outline stitch, simple, running stitch, outline, nothing special about that. When you go to add the fill, notice that these points, the stitches are coming in mostly just inside that running stitch. So I'm not putting holes in the same place over and over again. That's your first layer. Simple underlay type. It's really a fill. It's an E-stitch is what I like to use because there's no, it's very back and forth. It's nice, and you can make the density nice and wide. I have it set at 25, and at 125 is the angle. Each one has to be slightly different so they don't lay into each other. So we're going to look at the next running stitch. Notice that's right inside the green, so the orange is running inside. And same thing with the fill. The E-stitch I have, those points are just inside that running stitch. So we're avoiding putting the needle penetration in the same place over and over. Last but not least is the third underlay outline stitch. And then you have the fill. So notice I went green, orange, blue. The blue has in it, they're extra, it's not really a running stitch, but it's the edges of the fill, but you got green, orange, blue. And each one's just inside of each other. I use the green as my sizing. And then the next ones, I just went a little smaller. And then from here, you're gonna add your fill. And this is just your typical fill. This can be a 4-point fill. So it's just 40 weight. Angles slightly different than all the others, or at least it should be, because you don't want them laying in. So this is the point where you can start adding your design elements. You can put his hat, his face, his scarf, his mittens, and all that. And then last but not least, after you do that, let's make that bigger again. You can kind of see it, and I'm going to take the 3D off, and we're going to add the satin stitch. So it's important that when you're doing the layers on to build up your fabric, you're underlapping. So you want to make sure you're not putting the holes in the same penetration. When you finish it with a satin stitch, notice it's way over here, covering all those layers of underlay in the fill, and then your outer stitch comes out here a little bit. So you're overlapping, but you have a nice tight density setting on this. I have this one set at 85. You can play around to see what works well. So you can see why you wouldn't want to do this anytime before the end, because this is really starting to perforate the plastic as it's embroidering. And that's what you want to do on the last part of your design. So let's take this out to the machine. We'll get her embroidered, and we are going to create this cute little snowman right here.
For this video, we are covering how to make a patch with all thread.
This is a snowman that will be embroidered on this plastic, and we'll add some heat seal on the back of it. So start by hooping 2 layers of your E-Zee Badge film, the hefty. This is a 100 micron thick. So because we're using all thread, we want to give it a little more substance to embroider on, so we've got the 2 layers of that film. We have the machine all set up. We don't have to do a placement stitch because we're just going to press the button and we're going to let her embroider the whole snowman. Go. So I wanted to stop it here, and we actually, so I'm going to talk about this in the digitizing, where you'll see this is our first layer of underlay. It's at an angle, I don't know, maybe a 45 degree. It's doing the outline stitches. It's going to do this 2 more times, so there's going to be, it just did the second outline. Now it's going to do the second layer of underlay at a different angle. And after it does the second layer, we'll look at the 3 layers that are underneath. This is the most important part of the digitizing when it comes to an all thread design, because this is what kind of creates that foundation that you're going to build the fabric out of thread on top of it. The snowman's going to be created. And it's really important that you are not putting the needle penetration in the same place. You can see kind of on the edge here. Those are running alongside each other when it comes to the outline stitches. So let's watch that second layer go, and then we'll stop during the 3rd layer so you can take a look at how it appears. So here you have the 2 layers that are complete. You got your kind of lattice looking over there. Here, this 3rd layer of underlay is at a slightly different angle than the other 2, and that builds this beautiful, nice foundation that you can embroider on. So that's going to cover that whole snowman shape. Then it's going to start filling in. We'll do the 3rd layer and then start filling in the snow around the snowman. All right, so it did those 3 layers like we talked about. Has a nice foundation. Now it's going to do the outer edges of the snow outside of the snowman, so you can see it started filling in. And then after it does that, it will do the actual snowman, so it'll be all white before we add on the details. So I wanted to stop it here just so that you can see what's been happening after it did the initial white snow on the outside. That's that nice bright 1801. I switched over to an 1802 for the snowman, filled it in. So essentially we've got our fabric, and the elements of the design are starting to be stitched on top of that fabric that we built. So we're going to let her run for a little bit. We'll come back when it's ready to do the satin stitch on the very end, and we're going to pop her right out. So I just stopped it here because it's done most of the design. It's going to do a few holly leaves up here, and then you'll notice it's going to do some outline stitches, and then it's going to be all tied together with the final satin stitch. Once that's done, we'll pop it out and show you how to remove it. So that's always a good sound. So it's all done. There's 2 layers, so we're going to tear 1 layer off at a time. Guess it wants to tear off the back. That's okay. So easy that was. And then do your second layer. I say do 1 at a time just so it doesn't put stress on the edges of the satin stitch. There he is, very beautiful. There's your back. We're going to trim it up a little and we'll put some heat seal on it next. All right, so now we want to put some heat seal on the back of our patch. We are going to use that E-Zee Heat Seal 5256. This is a polyester heat seal, works best on your more common fabrics, whether it's polyester, cotton blends. This is a great heat seal for that. So I do have the heat seal here. See the shiny side, that's your actual heat seal side. On this side is your paper, it's a protective paper. So remember, if I'm going to put him this way, he's pretty much the same shape, but not 100%. So we're going to put it upside down so that when we go to put it on, it'll be the same shape. And I'll line right up. So I'm just going to run that pen right around his edge. It does get a little slippery. With my scissors, and when I cut, I like to cut just inside the line. I don't want it hanging out over the satin stitch, so I get rid of that trace line all the way around. It doesn't have to be precisely trimmed. Some people do put this right on and then they trim it afterwards. Whatever way works for you, and if you can get it to work one way over the other, then I encourage you to do it the way that works for you. Okay. So once I turn it over and I go to put him on it, going to line right up. I'm actually going to do that the opposite way. I'm going to lay him down and then you line this up on top of there. So what we're doing is we're finishing it off with a heat seal, and then we're going to put it on this black scarf, and he will be ready for Christmas or snow, whichever comes first. You never know up in New Hampshire. So this heat seal likes you to use a temperature between 320 to 392 degrees Fahrenheit. Hold it on for 15 to 20 seconds. If you're using a heat press, you want to use 2.8 to 4.2 bar, which is 40 to 60 psi. We're pressing, we're not ironing, so I'm not moving it around. I'm just trying to hold that heat right on there. What happens with this now is it's super hot, so you really have to let it cool off before you can remove the paper. If you try to remove it before it cools off, you could kind of lip the glue. So you don't want to do that. We're going to give that a few minutes. We'll be right back. 3, 2, 1. All right, so I have my iron set aside here. We got a nice fleece scarf. It looks very cute, and I have just a cotton press cloth because I don't want to get, I don't want to heat this up so much. I just want to heat the glue. So once it's cooled off, you're good to go. You just start at one corner. It does tend to stick to the satin stitches sometimes. Like I did on the last one. I'm just going to heat her up a little bit, see if I can get a better peel. I don't want to put that directly on it. Sometimes that softens it up just enough. You can make templates to trace these. I guess ideally you would want something that peels right off, so I would make it smaller than the satin stitches on the edge, and I feel like it would come off a little bit easier. Once you have the release paper pulled off, she's ready to be applied to a garment. Here we have a scarf. This could go on a tote bag. You could put it on your denim jacket. All kinds of things that you could put this on. So we'll center that best we can. Gonna use my press cloth again. Don't want to damage the thread, don't want to damage the fleece. Some things don't take as well to the higher heat. So I always use a press cloth to protect it. Check that out. There we go. We'll brush that up a little bit. That'll come back. But there it is, really nice and secured. You can see I'm rolling it and staying on there quite nice. Yeah, I'll probably get a brush and just bring that fluff back up and we'll be good to go. And look how pretty that is.